Hello, my lovelies. Welcome welcome back to my channel. This is Kamaria, and I thought we'd do something a little. I feel like I say this every freaking video, y'all. Let's hear something different. But nonetheless, it is something different. We're trying a new angle, and just wanted to show you how I set up a new month in my reading journal. Usually, I just kind of tack on oh, here's the new cover page for the next month in my reading wrap up. But I kind of wanted it to have its own video. So you can just kind of see my thought process and how I do things, how I work the magic. So I recently got gifted a whole bunch of washi tapes, and some of them came with like super wide washi tapes. Like I've never seen washi tape that wide before. So I thought, like, how am I going to use this? Like, who needs washi tape this big? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a cover page out of it. And I had all of these like botanical antique-ish looking papers. And so I did some, ripping, just to add some interest and texture. And I just did like a lot of layering, honestly. And for some people, it might be too busy, but I literally just kept layering and kept gluing until I was satisfied. There is something quite therapeutic about ripping paper. I do like, how it gives a little bit of texture and a little bit of interest, and everything's not just perfectly cut. It looks more whimsical to me, I think. I was trying to go for, like a, aesthetic, just aesthetic looking. So it's lots of script and plants and like what you would find in an old, book encyclopedia or something like that. I did like cover up a few things that I didn't like in the washi tape itself, but it just had a lot of like quotes and kind of mismatched scrapbooky feel, and I just was completely in love with it. The thing about scrapbooking is all about layering. I do feel like I went a little too much of the same colors. I wish I had done something that made things pop a little bit more. But I do really like the way it ended up. So usually I do like 3 different cover pages a month because I have my reading journal, I have my bullet journal, like my planner bullet journal, and then I have what I call my collections journal, or like a life journal. So sometimes it's hard to like draw out every single cover page I have. I have to do 3 of them because I do like to separate my months. So most of my cover pages are not functional. They are just purely for aesthetics, just to look pretty. And that's okay because self-care for me is art, is collaging, is drawing. So just the act of me making a cover page and making it beautiful serves me. I know a lot of people who are in the bullet journal community or whatever kind of journaling, they think that cover pages are a waste and there should be a functional element. And it just depends on what journal I'm working in. So if it's my planner, my bullet journal where I plan my life, then yes, my cover pages are all functional. They all have, something on there, a calendar, something that is functional. So I turn back to that page, I can see that it's pretty, and it has a reason for me to look at it in the first place. Because why do all that work if you're never going to look at it? But I just don't personally care. I just the act of making something beautiful gives me joy. And I think if it gives you joy, if you want to spend 3 hours drawing a cover page that you will never look at again, that's fine. You don't have to stress about that, in my personal opinion, but who am I? I was thinking about showing you also like a setup of my life journal, my collections journal. I don't know if anybody would be interested in that, but I am going to have to migrate soon. If not May, then June, possibly. So that might be a video coming up. So that was my cover page, and now we're kind of working on my where I record all the books that I've read in the month, my rating, and then usually I do like a bingo or just something fun, a fun challenge that I can go in and like check something off, or because I can't do TBRs, like planned out, this is what I'm reading this month, and stick to it, because there might be something that I wanted to read and I write it down and then I get there and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to read that. So I look at an unproductive list or a unfinished, unchecked off list, and it makes me feel like a failure. So instead of writing out a designated, this is what I'm reading this month, I like to have a fun challenge instead. So the challenge for May is, because in the US at least, it's Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I believe. And so I'm doing an Asian readathon. It's by Cindy Reads here on YouTube, and she makes it super easy and super accessible. I do believe that you should read diversely the whole year and not just for clout or whatever. If you watched my April reading wrap up, you saw that like all the books I read like 20 books, and they were all by either Asian or Latinx. And like the percentage of, lots of people are into stats, and I don't do stats, so I don't know the actual percentages, but I want to say like 15 out of the 20 books were by people of color. So I don't have that problem, but I do feel like it's as a reader, as a person, you should read things outside your own life experience, because I think it's important as a human being to understand people who are different than you. But hey. So I like to do these kinds of readathons or bingos or challenges, and she made it really, really easy. There were like 5 prompts. One is read an Asian author, done. 2, I believe, was read a book where the friend groups are all Asian. Read a book about identity and somebody coming to terms with their identity. Reading a book about an Asian going on an adventure. And then read one about a famous or eccentric, rich something person who, is kind of out there. And like you can combine 2 categories or whatever, but I plan on reading one book for each category, because I feel like 5 is completely doable for me between. And I have a whole folder full of books that are written by Asian Americans or Pacific Islanders, or have Asian or Pacific Islander representation. And what's really cool is she has a whole database too. So if you're having trouble finding a wide range, because Asian isn't just Chinese and Japanese, there's Korean, there's Laos, there's Malaysia, there's all sorts of countries. India is technically Asian. Mongolia, who, like there are so many countries that fall under that, and they all have their own rich diversity and culture and things like that. So it's important, I feel, to be cognizant, be aware of that. So if you're having trouble, you could go to her channel. I might link it in the description for you guys. And she has a whole database for that kind of stuff on Storygraph. And I think she also has a Google document as well that you can like download. So check it out. And let me know if in the comments if you end up doing the challenge. Put in some recommendations if you read a book by an Asian American author that you think is cool and worth a read, and I might give it a chance. So lastly, you just see me decorating. The last thing I do is usually add the stickers, and my journal is Harry Potter themed, so I always tie in Harry Potter characters in some way. And this one I just wanted to kind of do magical creatures because I felt like it kind of went with the, the paper I used and kind of doing the flora and the fauna. And a lot of the animals were kind of this beautiful like aqua color. So I do feel like that kind of added interest to my page that wasn't so neutral, because I did have a lot of like neutral elements in my cover page. So I felt like adding some of the stickers, and some of them had glitter and stuff, kind of added a bit of contrast. So I know that a lot of people nowadays are kind of about cancel culture, and it's a kind of maybe too deep a topic to talk about for the next 2 minutes. But I do think that there can be, as long as you are aware, you can separate the art from the creator, as long as you are mindful about it. I don't buy Harry Potter books anymore. Like, this is a sticker book that was like $4 at the Five and Below. I don't think J.K. Rowling is making that much money off a sticker book from the Five Below. So I do think it brings a conversation around to, if an author does something terrible, do you just completely cancel them and boycott their books? Or do you kind of realize, okay, yeah, this person did some bad things and is maybe a trash human. But you can also realize that human beings, make mistakes. And especially nowadays with social media, everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody has said something or done something that could harm a community. I think as long as you're mindful and you yourself take, stock of your own actions and your own intentions and your own, how you, make your way in life, has to be enough. And you're not a bad person if you read a book by someone who has done something or said something bad. But that's just my opinion. And that's all she wrote. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.